Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to interactive Sukhmani Sahib Ji session. Before I start, I also want to make an announcement for the listeners who are listening from the radio. They can join our 10 o'clock Zoom session also on the Zoom ID 808-604-6925. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਰੋਤੇ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਤੇ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ हैं आज ਦਾ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਉਹ ਜ਼ੂਮ ਆਈਡੀ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ हैं 10 ਵਜੇ 808 604 6925. Let's start our session, and before we start, let us do ardas in our minds to Akal Purakh Vaheguru to give us capability to understand the meanings of Gurbani that Sadgurus have bestowed on us.
Lina Ji, one quick point. I think the number we gave you was the one for the Zoom for those who want to log in using Zoom, not the call-in was there. For call-in, I think there you would have the Zoom ID information.
No, I think we are fine. We were going to give them the Zoom ID for 10 o'clock.
Okay, no
and the radio was going to be played at 9 o'clock for the previous session.
No problem. All good.
Hanji. Okay, so before we start, let me recite the shloks we did so far. So for the Zoom members right now, just wanted to why did that announcement is because we talked to radio Chardi Kala who are going to broadcast this. They will be broadcasting live because they have a requirement for 9 o'clock. They'll be broadcasting at 9 to 10 the previous week's session, the recording of that. And then we'll have to let them know if they want to join our 10 o'clock session. So we were doing that announcement before. So we'll start with reciting the sloks from all the padas, all the ashpadis we did so far. Let me share my screen before we start that. So I'll just recite first two shloks and then we'll start. Satnam Shri Vaheguru Sahib Ji Aad Gure Namah Jugad Gure Namah Sat Gure Namah Shri Guru Dev Namah Deen Dard Dukh Panjna Kat Kat Nath Nath Saran Tumhari Ayo Nanak Ke Prabh Saath Tajo Syanap Surjano Simro Har Har Raye एक आस हर मन रखो नानक दुख परम पाओ जाए. So the last shlok, Tajosyanap Surjano, is from the 14 Ashpadi, which we did. We covered 5 padas from that 14 Ashpadi. So in this slok, Satguru is telling us, Tajosyanap Surjano, he's telling us to, not focus on our, not put that much attention on how clever we are, trying to do things, but try to come in connection with that one and only divine, right? Tajosyanap Surjano, Simro Har Harai, inside of having that cleverness in you, Simro, be in connection with that Har, that Vaheguru. Ek aas har man rakho, Nanak dukh param pao jaye. He says, have that hopes only from that one and only Vaheguru, that one divine, and all your sorrows will depart. And throughout the 5 padas we did so far in this 14 Ashpadi, there is also the emphasis of, don't have your hopes on the other powers, on the other human beings. That's a waste, because then you accumulate the sorrow in your life, right? You get your spiritual path gets corrupted that way. right? Have that hopes, all that hopes on that one and only Vaheguru. Don't put your ask, don't put your hopes on the powers, on the other human beings, right? That so far we covered on 5 padas. We'll start with the 6th pada. Let me just share. So this is the 6th pada of 14 Ashpati. Let me try to fix my annotation here so I can point to what I'm reciting. I'm also trying to open the chat box. So for 6th pada, 14 Ashpadi, let's recite this first. You can recite along on your mute. Neh kich janmai, neh kich marai, आपन चलित आप ही कराय, आवन जावन दृष्ट अनदृष्ट, आज्ञाकारी तारी सब सृष्ट, आपे आप सगल में आप, अनिक जुगत राच थाप थाप, अभिनासी नाही किछ खंड, तारण तार रहयो ब्रह्मंड, अलख पेव पुरख परताप, आप जपाए ता नानक जाप. So Satguruji is telling us from, he says, "Nai kich janme, nai kich marai. Apan chalit aap hi karai." Is, you know, in that realm from where he's speaking, "Nai kich janme," there's nothing which is born, and there's nothing which actually dies. Apan chalit, his own drama, play, aap hi karai, that Vaheguru, he himself is staging all his drama. He's himself doing all that drama. So he's trying to bring our attention to that place, that asthir sthan within us, right? That place where Gurbani wants us to reach, that realm which we should access, we should have access to as we are living this life, right? We need to stay connected to that reality within us, which is beyond birth and death, from where you see everything as a drama, everything outwardly as a drama. But from that realm, from where that Satguru is saying, he says, "Na kich janme, na kich mare." In reality, there's nothing. All this is just drama in that eyes of that Vahegurus. If you just don't think of this, just this human form we have, if you want to connect to that inner connection, he's asking us to operate in this human body in this lifetime, knowing that reality, that there is beyond something which is beyond death and beyond birth. It says, "Avan javan drisht andrisht, agyakari tari sabsrisht." So just re-emphasizing this avan and javan, this coming and seeing in this worldly forms you are seeing, and drisht andrisht, whatever is seen, andrisht, whatever is not seen, invisible. Agyakari tari sabshisht. Agyakari, it's in an obedience with that Vaheguru. It's following that will. It's following that command. Agyakari tari sabshisht. That whole world. Tari means it's been made. It's been created. It's been sustained that way. All the world, all the Shrishti is in his obedience. So everything is in the power of that one and only God, right? And that's where he says, ek aas har us harti kas rakho. There's no need to have all the sorrows in your life, all the separation, is because first, uh, when we get into this human form, this mind, we forget that yes, there is this other reality to it, right? He's saying stay away from that, know that existence, that one existence, be aware of that, right? आपे आप सगल में है आप अनिक जुगत रच थाप उथाप. He's again telling the qualities of that Vaheguru upon whom he wants us to keep our faith. It says, Ape aap sagal mein aap. He is himself. He's everywhere. Sagal mein aap. He himself is in everywhere also. You will have access to him. You have access to him through your inner self too. Right? That's the main message on Gurbani. Anik jugat rach thap uthap. It says, Anik jugat kinyai varieties, many different ways. Kinyai jukta nal, rach thap uthap. Rach means creating, made this. And then thap and uthap, he makes it and then he destroys it. He establishes and de-establishes this in many different ways. That's all happening around you. If you try to rise above that dimension of time and space, right? If you look from that dimension, right? The whole civilizations, this anik jugat, and not even that, even like within the current time, in he's always creating, right? In many different ways that it's being, things he's creating are being established and established. Abhinasi nahi kichkhand. Abhinasi, he's not to be nash, to be destroyed. He's beyond that destruction. Khand, nahi kich khand. He cannot be separated into pieces. He cannot be broken also. That's the quality. He himself, all the drama around you, which is happening, is his drama, as what is called, right? Chalit, jada chal raha hai, right? That comes between the birth and destruction, creation and destroying it. But he himself is beyond that destruction. He cannot be broken. Abhinasi nahi kichkhand. Taran tar rahyo brahmand. Taran tar rahyo. He's supporting and maintaining, taran karke, he's always supporting it. The whole brahmand, the whole universe, he has created it and he lends his support to maintain the universe. And this comes, and all this Satguruji is telling us to stay in connection to that spiritual awareness within us, right? This thing comes so many times in Gurbani that he himself is taking care of everything, right? In Rehra Sahib, in every Nitne Bani, is trying to tell our mind to not wander around worrying about things, do the right things, and first try to come in connection with that Vaheguru, to do it in tunement with that one and only reality, and understand that once you do it in attunement with that one and only reality, that's also taking care of everything, right? So, alak apev purak partap, alak apev. ਅਲੱਖ ਇਸ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਲਕਸ਼ਣ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਲਕਸ਼ਣ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਕੀ ਉਹਦੇ how do you describe him? He's not describable. lakshya to lakhan nahi dikhde koi, right? Alak, that Vaheguru, a pave, you cannot paid pana, you cannot know about it, unfathomable. Purak Pratap, right? The Akal Purak, that Ikumka in that Mool Mantra, that Purak, that one and only creator being who has all the glory, Pratap, the glorious one and only creator being. He's unfathomable, he's unknowable. Aap japai ta Nanak jap. And then it's again, it says, oh Nanak, if he himself inspires, aap japai, if he himself inspires you, enables you to meditate on him, then only we do that. Right? And then again, most of the padas always come with this, they end with through his kirpa, through his grace, right? And I think the main thing, and then we always end up discussing it. So I would just re-emphasize that whenever Satguruji is saying aap japai, or with his kirpa, with his grace is when one does this, he's talking about the things which are not in your hand, which are given to you, where you're born, what you are access to. He's not talking about after that, beyond what is your free will, what you do with it. You have been given this Qurbani, you read it or understand it, but it is his grace that you have been given this Qurbani. It is your free will. If you didn't get time to spend to understand it, right? That's where he said there's a difference there between your free will and where that grace comes in, right? So any before we go to the next pada, any questions? I can see in the chat. Yeah, okay. So I think it's already so the hymn, it's just a way of addressing, because we are bound by language. Purak Pratap, and that's a way of describing. Gurbani says there's one Akal Purak. Gurbani doesn't believe in gender, not that way, right? It's not talking about a biological gender. It's talking about how it's trying to relate the language to what the message it's giving. So it says that Ek Akal Purak, and all of us are soul brides trying to merge with that Akal Purak Vaheguru, right? It's just using the language to convey that message deep within our roots, so we understand what it is talking about. It's talking about that one divine being through, and our soul, that one supreme soul to which we have to connect to. And all the translations in all religions, they try to do it this way, right? They translate it this way because it's like banda is a man, right? Human, right? Whenever it's come, they just use that. Hanji, any I see a message from Pagat Param Singh Ji. Even being inspired to do Simran is pure blessing. That's right. So I'll move on to the next pada. Jin prabh jata so sobhavant sagal sansar udhray tin mant प्रभ के सेवक सगल उधारन प्रभ के सेवक दुख बिसारन आपे मेल लय कृपाल गुर का शब्द जप पए निहाल लागे मोह पावे बड़ पागे नाम जपत पावे बिसराम नानक तिन पुरख को उत्तम कर मान. So now he's talking about those beings who have realized, right, who are those beings, jata, knowing, who know that that divine reality, that Prabhu, that God, so sobhavant, they have all the glorious, they are glorious. Sagal sansar udhray tinmant. He says this whole world, sagal sansar, udhray is again getting saved, right? It says from this, redeemed is the word used here. It's like getting, udhray also is used for getting salvation, get liberated from this mukti palana, right? Udhray tinmant. The whole world is saved by their teachings, right? Those who have realized, those who have known those secrets of that Vahiguru's existence, right? But through their teachings, the whole world is redeemed. And that's why that Sadhguru's teachings are so important for us, right? Prabh ke sevak sagal udharan, Prabh ke sevak dukh bisaran. Prabh ke sevak, Vahiguru's disciples, his servants, sagal udharan, they do udhar for everyone. Prabh ke sevak dukh bisaran. This is that Vahiguru's servants, his saints, his disciples, dukh bisaran. They cause all the dukh, all the sorrows to be forgotten. Right in the slok it says, Tajo Syanap Har, Simro Har Har Rai. And then he says, Dukh Param Pao Jai, by doing that. And it's very important that dukh in a way is also called in Gurbani, it's a separation from that one, your soul separating from that one divine connection. So you are doing things which is not in alignment with why you should be doing that, and that causes, it says here, right, that causes all sorrows, all diseases, all hurtings and all. That's what the message comes, right, from all the Gurbani. And this is when you are in connection with the gods, with Vahigurus, those who have realized him, the servants, his Jan, then you get on a path, you forget all those sorrows. It's not saying that those sorrows are not there. It's saying you're untouched by them. So you forget them. Ape mele, sorry. In a way, it's also saying that they don't have a real existence, right? That's, those sorrows are created by this human, right? This mind, just because that mind doesn't know what's the right way to operate, right? So they are kind of fake in that realm of that truthness, sacha, in that realm of that what Satguruji wants to bring us to. Those are fake. Then he says, Ape mel laye kirpal, gur ka shabad jap paye nihal. He says, those sevak, those have been Ape mele, that Vahiguru himself has made it happen to them, that he has united them. That Kripalu, that merciful God, that graceful, that Vahiguru with his grace, with his mercy, has made it happen that those sevak have united with him. Gur ka shabad jap paye nihal. Now when they have been united with them, what happens? Gur ka shabad jap. Through Guru's shabad, through Guru's teaching, they are reciting that shabad and they are in a bliss. Bhaye nihal. What do they do now? Because Vahiguru has made it happen to have them come in connection with Guru, have them come in connection with some form of shabad, some form of naam, to remain in connection with that one connection, they are in that bliss. They become ecstatic. Unki seva soi lage, jisno kripa karhe vad page. He says only those, now he's talking about those disciples of Vahiguru, those beings in the human form, Guru, if we can say, the Gurus who came for us, or such beings. He says, unki, even we come in connection to such beings, unki seva sui lage, ona di seva which we ohi lagde han, jisnu kripa karhe vad page, who have a great good fortune, and who gets that kripa from Vahiguru, upon whom God bestows his mercy by great good fortune. Such are the beings who are committed to serve such disciples of Vahiguru. So in a way, he's also telling us that you need that Guru's word, you need that Guru's teachings. And that's where it's so important when it says in Gurbani that you come in a life, in that life in which you come in connection with Satguru, that's where you get that mukti, right? Because before that, there's nobody else who's trying to tell you all those realities of your existence. But now Satguruji is telling you the realities of this human existence, that how high is that bar, that you have. I mean, how much you can achieve in this life if you know this, right? Naam japat pavhe bisram, Nanak tin purak ko uttam karman. He says now by Naam japat pave bisram. It says by reciting that Naam, that Guru's word you get, right? Pave bisram. There's immense peace and rest. That's the place of rest. Nanak tin purak ko uttam karman. It says, oh Nanak, such people who are doing this, tin purak ko uttam karman, think of them, respect them, uttam karman, give them that highest respect, uttam man. Give them consider them as the most noble, respect them as being the most noble beings. So, any thoughts so far? I see Avtarji is there. Avtarji, you want to share something today? It's so nice to have you again.
Anji, good to see you all after a few weeks. um, Anji, this is all very beautiful realities, and um, essentially the essence, I think they're trying to say that we have to be in this, Gurbani is trying to encourage us to be in that awareness of the universal non-changing reality Ek Onkar. And this earlier comment by one of Sangat was there is no he or she here, but all religions have a he or she as Lord or God, and it seems like they're using male version of God or to address, but I think that's a common language in all religion, as it is trying to address to the common man, because you have to when we try to describe a universal reality which is beyond space time and akar, it's nirankar and it does not move with time. When we try to describe that in a language which the common man understands, we get into he, she, yesterday, today, tomorrow, birth, death, all these aspects of real life get into description of something which is eternal and universal, and that's where the problem occurs in religion. So that's where I think the Gurbani tries to take us beyond the worldly realities to the Sahaj Avastha, or the dhyan, or uh, to a state of mind which is eternal and beyond time. And that's probably the key message of Gurbani is, which is much beyond this he, she, him, uh, janam, maran, and all this language which is worldly. Unfortunately, the language has to be used in religion to describe that, but the ultimate Sahaj Avastha, or the state of mind, is the goal of Gurbani, is the key message, how to get to that. I think I'm just trying to define an essence to some of those comments about these language issues that come in understanding and realizing and being aware of the ultimate reality. Any comments? Welcome.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Thank you. Also on the chat, I see if everyone can read some very nice comments by Bhagat Param Singh Ji being shared. Okay. Thank you, Ji. I'll move on then to the last pada. Jo kich karai so prabh kai rang, sada sada basai har sang, सहज सुभाए होवै सो होए, करणे हार पछाणे सोए, प्रभ का किया जन मीठ लगाना, Jaisa sa taisa trisatana, jiste upje tis mahe samaye. Oi sukh nidhan unhu ban aaye. आपस को आप दीनो मान, नानक प्रभ जन एको जान. So in the last pada, again Satguruji is trying to describe more about that such beings, that's Jan, that Prabh Jan. Jo kich karai so Prabh ke rang. Says such beings, whatever they do, jo kich karai so Prabh ke rang. Prabh de rang vich range hoy. They have so much love to Vahiguru that they do it for the love of God. Sada sada basai har sang. And if I do just the literal meanings of it, right? Sada sada forever. Basai har sang. They remain with that Vahiguru. So, and then it comes to us, we start thinking about what's the message to us as our daily life. It is plainly, simply just saying that, again it comes to that, realize your own self first and then live this life staying in connection with that one divine reality, right? It says kare jo kich kare so prab ke rang, right? You can also prab de rang which within his will, within his hukum, right? It's in this whole Ashwadi, it's very important. This jaisa sa taisa drishtana came in that fifth pada also, right? Get into that state. What does it mean? Jaisa sa, however is that Vahiguru, however is that one divine reality existence, see it as it is. Don't get diluted. Don't have doubts, right? Don't get to the other direction. See that reality as it is. And that's the state what Gurbani wants you to reach to, right? That's why everyone does practices. They want to be at that state so they can actually live this life with Prabh Ke Rang, right? And they can see that Prabh everywhere, right? And like all these messages are everywhere in every religion. See that Prabh in everyone, right? Do everything with his will. What does it mean? It just means that you are living this life in by understanding his hukam. You have gone to that state where what you do, it is within his will. Right, so that's the state of it. He says, now such beings, jo kuch kare, whatever they do, O Prabhu de rang vichi kar dehan, sada sada base har sang, and they forever remain with him, they abide with him. Seh subhai ho vaiso hoye, karne har pachane soye. He says, Seh subhai ho vaiso hoye. Seh subhai, it's effortlessly, right? Apne aap, by natural course, whatever is happening by his hukum happens to them. Karne har pachane soy. Why? It's a very so first sahaj bhai hove so it's like there is a natural course, your existence requires you to do something in accordance to your existence. Let me just take care of this. Yeah, your existence as a human being here requires you to act in certain way, being in that being along with the rest of the creation, and that's what it is, the sahaj subhai. But is that really happening to you? Is that what you are allowing yourself to happen? Ho vaiso hoye. Oh, ho reha hai ki nahi ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ? Nahi ho reha. If you think there's a sorrow, if you think there's a disease, if you think there is a friction, then oh, nahi ho reha. Because in that realm of that truth, of that oneness, everything is supposed to be beautiful. Everything is supposed to be blissful. Right? You are supposed to be in that avastha, sahaj subhai di avastha. He says, with those beings, sahaj subhai ho vaiso hoy. For example, even like when say, what is genius? Genius is a state when you have done enough of education, and now that that knowledge flows through you. The rest of the creative knowledge is flowing through you. Is that happening to you? In any field you are in anything you are doing in your day-to-day life, is that happening to you? It says, karne har pachane soe, because that's happening to such beings, because they have pachana, they have understood, they have recognized that karne har, that creator being. Because they have recognized that creator being, so that Sahaj Subhai is happening to them. Then what happens to them? Prab ka kiya jan meet lagana. Then everything what that God Vaheguru does, jan meet lagana, to his humble being, is sweet, mitha. It's in bliss. They are enjoying all the sweetness of it. Jaisa sa taisa drishtana. And why? Because as that Vaheguru is, they are able to see it. It appears to them in its own form. Right, the Jaisa sa taisa drishtana. I really like this phrase here. It's coming second time. It's coming fifth pada also, to describe the sevak of Vaheguru. To the sevak of Vaheguru, जिस तरह ਉਹ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਆਪ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਦਾ ਹੈ, right? ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਉਪਜੇ ਤਿਸ ਮਾਹੀ ਸਮਾਏ. And what is their goal of this life? ਜਿਸ ਤੇ ਉਪਜੇ, from wherever they came from wherever they have emerged in this human form, what is their path? This mahi samai, they finally go merge in what? There's a physical form and there's your spiritual form. Our physical form merges with this physical creation, right? Mitti ho janda hai, swa ho janda hai, jo bhi ho janda hai, right? Pani ho janda hai, right? He says, and what happens to our spiritual form? It goes merges with that one divine spirit, that one divine soul, that supreme being. Jiste upche tismai. When they have lived this life this way, that's when they can get to it. If they don't, then it says it comes into that reincarnation, because neither all of that equilibrium hasn't happened to even your physical form. It has to come again. Or karma da dena hai, right? It has to come again. Your soul is not still emancipated. Odi bhi mukti nahi hui. So that has to come again, right? So all that power or whatever, it keeps adding to you. It says, Jiste upche tis mahe samaye, oe sukh nidhan unhu ban aaye. Says that he's talking about that Jan of Vaheguru. Says from him they come and they merge to him. Oe sukh nidhan unhu ban aaye. Says that Vaheguru is a sukh nidhan. He's sukhan da treasure. He's the nidhan, he's a treasure. Khajana hai gaye. Wo sukha nu den wala khajana hai. That Vaheguru, oe sukh nidan, unhu ban aaye. And all his beings, all the people who are in connection with them, they just get all of that. And so do all his beings become, all his disciples, his servants who are with him become. They get all that treasure of comforts, of peace. Aapas ko aap dino maan, Nanak Prabchan Eko Jan. Aapas ko aap dino man. He says, for his own beings, he himself has given them this honor. Aap dino man. By himself, he has given the honor to his beings. Nanak Prabjan Eko Jan. Says, O Nanak, understand this, that humble beings of that Vaheguru who have realized and who are living their life this way, they and Vaheguru himself, that Prabhu himself, think of them as one. They are one and the same. So that's the 14th Ashpadi. And I think that the key message here, it starts with, the first few padas just start with, don't jeda parosa and aas rakhni hai na, don't do that to the other human beings. You know, that bar where you can achieve by yourself while you are born here, it's too high. You know, go think of as high as that Vaheguru himself. Don't count on your own inner self on your own, and then count on that Vaheguru for your success, not on the other powers and other humans. Right? That's what one thing it tells. And then live your life so you can be in a state, you know, that jaisa sa taisa disthana, that you are doing everything within his will. You're doing it in connection with him.
Dina ji, I have a question.
Hanji ji.
So basically, everywhere we find one common denominator, and that is that सब कुछ रब वाहिगुरु के हाथ है वो जिन्होंने नाम जपाना चाहता है वो नाम जपते ने अगर सब कुछ रब के कंट्रोल हो गया तो बेचारा जो जन है वो किमें इस कंट्रोल तो बाहर निकले ताकि वो यू नो रब दे तो भरोसा ना रखे अपने ते भी भरोसा रखे. How can one get out of the control of the God upon us?
So I think there's some confusion here, right? In the translations which we see, what Satguruji is telling us is there is Rab who controls everything, and there is us. To us, he gives everything, and we have our free will, and that's a part Satguruji is telling us, that's a part he plays here to tell us that secret, that there's this one great giver. You come in connection to him, you do things in connection with your inner self, right? And then you succeed in life. If you do not, if you keep remaining at the surface, following your mind and following that whatever Maya, right? And you do not internalize and you do not connect with Vaheguru, you even miss his grace. You miss his kirpa. Oh, jo to tere te kirpa karda hai na. So it tells there is like other, not just religion, but it's just you miss that opportunities too, right? That Vaheguru is forever giving. There's all this khajana he's giving you. You wake up and see it and grab it. That's what it's not telling you that it's totally acknowledging that this human has a free will. Itanu har ashtadi, the slope which there's a hint, right? And then there's this like, it's upon you if you are lage ans why. And if you are going to go follow the other path, then following the Vaheguru's path, then you get all of this, right? And like I was saying before, it's not, when it says jado unhone kirpa kiti, it's not about it. There are certain things which are in humans' control, jehdi tusi badal sakte ho, and there are certain things which you have not enjoyed. You don't have a control of where you are born, who are your parents, where you got. There are a lot of things you have no control. Those are the Vaheguru's kirpa. You don't have a control if you have never been never have been given access to a holy being or a holy writings or a spiritual writings. It was always given to you, and that's why the kirpa, that's where the kirpa happened to you. But it's your choice whether you followed it or not. So right, that's the difference. So Sara control the human which he hai na. That's the whole thing. Ki Satguru ji nu, if you get that realization and that awakening, and even that questions come to you in your mind about your existence and your reality, then you are already being awakened. You are on that path.
वो कहते ना प्रभ पावे का नाम जो पावे, सो प्रभ हर कोई प्रभ ने पावेगा ताई गल बनेगी अगे ताई अगे अगे किमें जाएगी अगर रब नु नहीं पावांगे ते.
हाँ जी, yeah, that's true. प्रभ पावे का नाम जो पावे, and but it also says कि you have to do uddam and you have to do the naam japna, right? So that's the thing. So there's a big confusion. Prabh paave tha naam japave. Did Prabh give you access to the naam, or then it's upon you if you remain sleeping the whole day and you are being lazy and you're not doing things, right? So there's a distinction. That's why all of these teachings are for you, right? That's why the Guru's word and Guru's teaching are for you. What is the distinction here is, did you get access to that Guru's teachings is where you get the kirpa. Now what you do with them is your what happens to you? What are the other forces pulling you? So is that clear?
डिस्कशन ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ 14 ਅਸਪਤੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ 13 ਤੇ ਪੜਿਆ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਰੀਇਨਕਾਰਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਲਾਈਨ ਸੀਗੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਰਾਈਟ ਕਿ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਵਿਲ ਜਾਂ ਹੱਥ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਮਝ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਅਸ਼ਪਤੀ 'ਚ ਹੈ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਜਨਮ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਰੱਬ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੈਸੇ ਸਾ ਤੈਸੇ
ਜੈਸਾ ਸਾ ਤੈਸਾ ਦਿਸ਼ਟਾਨਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਵਨ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਜੀ ਜਾਂ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਉਸ ਲਾਈਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਜੁੜਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ ਜੀ
ਹਾਂਜੀ you are asking ਕਿ did we kirpa is it by some kirpa that we got is it written in Gurbani that we got this birth by some kirpa yes it's very clearly many times written in Gurbani ki nena surnar munjan amrit khoj de right amrit khoj de and this human he says even gods and angels they yearn to get this human body says deh kori char right har paya right so this body is given to you this is your source this human form is given to you to be able to this is your means to for your soul to achieve and get connected to that reality so it's everywhere in the Gurbani and it says even it comes at certain places it even says ki churak you have come to this human form after 84 lakh juna, right? It says that also. I haven't done too much analysis on what it really means, but it says that, right? 84 lakh juna to baade. So it's supposed to be getting this birth as a human is supposed to be a blessing in itself. And after
I wanted to add some views, my understanding. I think all the efforts have to be on our behalf. We had to do. I think Guru Prasad or Guru Di Kirpa is added so that we don't get ego. ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਉਮੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਫਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਐਫਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਐਫਰਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਈਗੋ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹਉਮੈ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ तो हमें नु अवॉइड करने लिए गुरु प्रसाद वर्ड ऐड किया गया जपजी साहब
जी एक comment I think confusion jira the whole confusion arises from the fact that when we say that God has a will God has a preordained destiny for us a God the confusion is in the word hukam. See, hukam, if you consider scientifically, hukam means laws. Laws of the universe which are maintaining this order. You know, hone aapa padh rahe si pichle page te ki there is an order and harmony in the universe because of the laws. And those laws are the hukam. But what we as human being take that hukam as an order. Ki tera decide hoya hai कि this will happen to you, you will get born, you will die on this day you will an accident, this day you will be happy, that day you will be unhappy, as if somebody has written that preordained way. That is the confusion. In reality, what Bani is trying to say that there is a hukam, like the laws of the universe, like gravity, for example, it's a law. The gravity does not say that you are going to fall. Gravity says, if you walk straight, you will not fall. And if you bend too far, you're going to fall. But it's not a preordained hukam that you are going to fall. Same way, this hukam and order in the universe, what Bani is trying to tell us, is the grace of God. There is a way by which we can walk straight. But we have to make effort to walk straight. If we go on a hill, slanty hill, we may slip and fall. So hukam and will does not mean it's cast in concrete in future what is going to happen.
So,
What
Avtar
is
Singh ji,
Hanji.
there is a lawyer joke in this, but it does have a relevance. When you have law and you have order, you always need a good lawyer to argue for your side. But ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੀਨਾ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਜਨਮ ਹੋਇਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਚੰਗੇ ਕਰਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹ ਜਨਮ ਹੋਇਆ, ਫਿਰ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਕੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਕੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਪਸ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈਵਨ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ?
So I have a thought. I think I need to.
ਸਵਰਗ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਵਾਰੀ, ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬੋਲੋ.
Hanji. So I think one very important thing to know here is, so all what you said until hukam, right? With his hukam, what very clearly, very simply, this Gurbani tells us, we are in this life with a great blessing. To attain the purpose of life is to merge back, to do in this life things so that we can merge, we can neutralize our karmas and become one with that one reality. But Gurbani also tells us, as soon as we are born, that Maya things, there's a pull on us to keep us away from it. And whole Gurbani and all practices is when a person realizes, when person is able to realizes, awakens to this fact, there is something beyond what he's doing, where he's get pulled to the reality of his existence. So that hukam is very sweet, that hukam is very blissful. The hukam is all for good. But what Gurbani is telling us, that we do not even remain capable of understanding that hukam. We lose it so much. We get pulled so much by this other thing, which is called Maya in the whole Gurbani. We get so much engrossed in it that we forget what's the right way to go do this life in hukam. And that's why all of this comes. That's why from everywhere it keeps saying, Kirpa hoegi ta awaken hoega, right? All of that comes, right? But that's the whole message about it. That's Hanji. And it also tells that every human, every single being is capable of it. It keeps telling. It says if you are suffering, if you're not achieving what you're supposed to achieve, it is because of you not following what you are born for. That's the message. Hanji.
क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि कहते मानव जन्म दुर्लभ है, मानव जन्म बड़ा प्रेशियस है, लेकिन सानू इस मानव जन्म जदों भेजा जाता है, इट कम्स विद द पैकेज ऑफ द होमे. एक पासे सानू पैकेज होमे दी जाती है, फिर गुरबाणी कहती है कि होमे नूं दूर करो. So it very गल है, ये पैकेज है. Why did it come in the first place? So we have to get rid of it. If we didn't have the home, we didn't have to get rid of it. So why is this quantum here?
Hanji, I think it depends where you start from. Instead of thinking of where you are beginning to think about it, think about where you are right now. Right now, if we awaken to the fact that there is these two things, there's a home and then there's a right way, right, to merge with Vaheguru, then let's just start from there, right? And where does it start? So it's what happens. What is Gurbani telling us? He says, okay, assume you are born with home, assume you have all of this karmas, all of that magnetic forces, pulls, whatever you call it, all kinds of, influences in your existence, right? Itself, in your every cell of your body, in your mind, right? In your whole existence, in your surroundings. How do you, then they talks about that udhar hona, that salvation. How do you get mukti from it and get to the right thing? Right? So it is, now where did it start from? It's not like ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਹੈ with that package done. It is you, it's your own existence. Because of that existence, now you are caught into that trap. You are in that chakravyu already. That's what the Gurbani is trying to awaken you. It's not trying to, right? That's what it's trying to tell you. You are already in that chakravyu. Now you have to come out of it.
But there's a purpose. There's a purpose for Sukh and Dukh. Just a question, Puchya. It's the whole Sukh loses its value if there's no Dukh. There is no value of day if there's no night. So, Jedi, what we call this supreme avastha, or whatever, the eternal freedom, or sahaj avastha, or dhyan, or mukti, has no value unless there is death and suffering. Suppose this universe was created only with mukti and only with eternal. There's no space, time, nothing. That by itself will lose its value, because then there is nothing to achieve, no purpose of life. There's nothing left to achieve.
Also, so this, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the whole purpose of life comes from the fact that there is suffering, there is death, there is birth, there is uncertainty, there is entropy. Because then now life has a purpose to find a way to get to the righteous state of mind. And that becomes the whole purpose of life. The purpose of birth is, once you're born, try to find out the way, because Guru Di Kripa is there so long there are universal laws and harmony in the universe. Guru Di Kripa is already there so long as we are alive and breathing. Guru has done his job. Now we have given a purpose in the birth to find a way within those laws how to navigate our life to get to the ultimate state of that Sahaj Avastha. And that's where Bani comes in, how it brings to that stage. Now, if everything was born with perfect state, it has no value, because the whole meaning will get lost of mukti.
Hanji, I think so what Gurbani is telling you about, that the highest level, that highest flow of that realm of existence, and there are many levels of it, right? To heaven, if you consider heaven as the highest, and it's not according to Gurbani, I'm just giving an example, and hell as the lowest realm over there, then it's upon you where you are and how you progress, how you step through it to reach to that highest flow. And then if it takes you many lifetimes to reach to that highest flow, where you can go now touch that supreme being, because there you were right below, already close to hell, and you were born in that kind of situation. Your whole life, you had to take care of all of these previous karmas, where you have to live in total suffering and everything. And then you did something, now that, you are either something happens to you, or you continue to the next life cycle, or you continue in many different life cycles. But Gurbani is trying to bring your attention to that you can make use of this life cycle if you come in connection, if you get awakened to a fact that you go touch to the highest level, right? And you exist in that realm after that. You stop existing in all the lower existences. That's what it is. That is what what it says, that is your karam, how you get to, if you just expand all the time to thousands and millions of years and life forms, not even just human life form, there are other life forms also who breathe and who have soul. Think of their existence, feel about how is their existence, right? Then you can relate to this message, what Sadhguruji is telling. Okay, so there's a question we have, we can consider that whether such dukh is preordained by hukum. So it depends now. There's a hukum, there's two aspects to it, right? So I said there were, one is the Gurbani tells you, right, this human life is very important. It's born with the blessing. And then it tells you, if you get in connection to that awakening source for you, Satguru, then you get emancipated from it, right? But there are other factors to it, which you call, because of your karma, because of the place where you are born, because of your surroundings and this universe where you are, there are certain things which are preordained, right? So that is what it is. If that's what you call dukh, that's what it is. And Gurbani, and there are certain religions who just stick to it, that this is your karma, this is your Vastu Shastra or whatever it is, right? It has to be this. But what Gurbani says is no, by coming in connection with Satguru and Nam, you can dissolve your karma also, right? So that's why it says ki dukhan da vi tusi nash kar sakte ho. You know, even if it was in your preordained thing that you are born with such dukh, you go follow that path and get to the next level. Don't remain flowing at that same level. You know, jump to the next level. Go to Satguru's sanctuary and jump to the next level. That's what it says.
Yes, so essentially Bani says there's nothing preordained, because Bani gives a way where anything that is preordained can be dissolved.
Yeah, and it also tells you that, saying so that you don't keep worrying about it. It says, you know, don't worry about dukhs. These are really not, these are fake. These are mithya. You know, it tells you that secret, that keep doing Nam Japna, keep connecting with God, and all of these are going to go away. And sometimes you relate it to the normal life also. You can really get that message truly, right? The more positive you stay, the more positive things happen too, right? So,
see, if God had, if Vaheguru had a preordained hukam, a so-called order, then he would become a dictator actually, right? But God is not a dictator.
mm-hmm.
God is free will, consciousness, supreme. Anything, if he has a will, that, because we are human beings, we have a will, and because we have an ego, so we portray God also as a person who has a will. So that's why somebody said that God did not create human beings created God, because we create a God with the image of human being, that he has a will, he has a preordained order, like a Akbar jiddan samrat banaya order kar raha hai, ya Trump order kar raha hai, you know, he's not like that. He's not Trump. So even to say that God has a will, it's only a human shortcoming to portray God like that. God has a hukam, means it has laws that apply to sukh and dukh. They apply to birth and death. They apply to material, non-material, mind, anything. They apply to everything universal. We have to now choose a path among those, how to get to and navigate ourselves to get to the universal reality, which is the state of God. But there is nothing preordained, as Bani says. You know, your karma can be erased. In fact, all, you know, enlightened movements, they say that there's nothing preordained. And Bani says clearly, you can erase any karma with the Sahaj Avastha. You can attain that Avastha with Dhyan, with Simran. So it essentially says there's nothing predetermined that you will have this destiny.
And all the Gurbani and even Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Gurbani says the same thing, that we cannot describe God. That's all. It says we describe God. Tatsara naam katha kavan karam naam barnat sumat. Apni apni karma de hisab nal we can describe God, but nobody can describe. That's what is in the Mool Mantra too, right? So it's undescribable.
Leena ji beautifully said. Koliji, thank you for making very good comments, great comments also to get us going on this discussion.
Thank you, Leena ji. Thank you, everybody, for good answers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leena ji. Thank you.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਫਿਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ